Hi, everyone. Hope that this message finds you well. Wanted to share a topic that certainly everyone thinks about at some point in their life, and that is how to become great, how to be great. If a person already thinks that they're great, then they won't ask themselves the question. So, firstly, a person has to realize that there's room for growth. There's a story about the Chavetz Chaim, Rabbi Yisrael Meir Kagan of blessed memory. He is being driven in a horse and buggy in Poland, and the driver says to him, "Where are you from?" He says, "I'm from an area," and we're talking about the greatest rabbi in the world. He says, "I'm from an area outside of Vilna, a small town." He says, where are you from?" He says, I'm from a village called Rodden. And he says, "Rodden, wow, do you know this great rabbi who lives there? Rabbi Yisrael Meir Kagan, known as the Chavetz Chaim. Do you know this individual?" So, driver didn't know who the Chavetz Chaim, what the Chavetz Chaim looked like. And the Chavetz Chaim answered, say, "Yeah, he's okay. He's okay." I'm paraphrasing. That's essentially how the conversation went. And the driver was incensed. This driver, proud Jewish man, said, "How could this person not speak in more glowing terms about the greatest rabbi in the world? How's that possible?" And the whole ride, he's just growing in his anger. And they get to their destination, and all of a sudden, the people in the town, there's a big commotion. They come to the Chavetz Chaim, and they ask him for a blessing. All of a sudden, it dawns on the driver, "My goodness, I didn't realize that this is the Chavetz Chaim." And he asks him for forgiveness for not showing him the right respect. And the Chavetz Chaim says, what are you talking about? And no forgiveness is necessary. And no apology is necessary. And when we analyze this story, we think to ourselves that, well, maybe he had to be truthful. But perhaps we could suggest that Rabbi Kagan was being truthful in his mind's eye. And where did he get this from? What strength? How did this develop? And if we look at Moshe Rabbeinu, considered to be the greatest prophet that ever was, ever will be, in a sense, the greatest Jew in history, and Moshe is referred to as the most humble Jew that ever lived. So is there a connection between being the greatest Jew and the most humble Jew? And the Torah is explicit about this. Moshe is the greatest, most humble person of all of humanity. And then when it says this in chapter 12, verse 3, in Bamidbar, it says, "Al Pnei Ha'adama." And it's the Chavetz Chaim who gave a commentary on these words, "Al Pnei Ha'adama," which means on the ground. Moshe was grounded. He was humble, and when the Torah tells us that there's a double meaning there. He's the most humble of all people across the earth, the surface of the earth, across the ground. But he was grounded. The Chavetz Chaim explains that how could Moshe maintain this humility? Where did he get that strength from? He saved the Jewish people. He spoke to God directly. How did he maintain this level of humility? Remember, what we suggested is that humility is tied to being growth-oriented. And Chavetz Chaim says, because it's about the reference point. It's about an individual's reference point. We go up and we see that Moshe is on top of the mountain, but Moshe is there. Moshe is in the heavens. His reference point is the heavens. Whoever I am, it's not perfection. Not only that, Moshe's reference point of seeing, in a sense, and being there to encounter the divine spirit, so to speak. So his reference point is different. And Moshe, there's so much more I could do. There's so much more I have to do. Look at the world. Look what's around me. Look who I can become. And so Moshe had no trouble developing his humility. because his perspective is based on that experience that he had with the Almighty and seeing everything how it really ought to be and having that vision and having that mentality. And so we need to, all of us need to figure out how to grow the purpose of life. We have to grow into better, more perfected human beings as much as we can to achieve greatness. We should all try to strive in our own way to achieve greatness. So how do we do that? We see what's been passed down from generation to generation. We see Moshe Rabbeinu, we see the Chavetz Chaim, realize that humility can be had, and humility is the key ingredient towards greatness. And we can develop our humility by using our mind to manipulate in a good way what our reference point actually is. And if we can develop our humility, we can have a greater sense of solidarity, of brotherhood. People are more worthy of being connected to us. We are more worthy of being connected to other people. We can strive for greatness. We can recognize that our creator has a formula to become a greater, more actualized human being. And with these instructions, we can achieve a greatness that all of us individually and collectively be more proud of. Thank you and have a great Shabbos.